So I think, look, he's had a couple of comeback fights. He's been impressive in them, but it's all about the opposition.
Dmytro here in Sheffield. We just had the press conference for the GBM show this Saturday night. It's a pleasure to meet and be joined by, for the first time, Peter Fury. Peter, nice to meet you. Good to speak with you. How's things?
And you, young fella. Pleasure, yeah. Everything's good. Good press conference. It's good to be back. Good to have him back.
Let's talk about why we're here. Hughie Fury, back after a long period of inactivity. We'll come on to the man in the opposite corner, Dmytro, in a minute, but I just want to talk to you a bit about how the last couple of years has been for Hughie. I mean, I'm sure there was doubts on both sides. I mean, would we get these opportunities? Would you get him back in the ring? Just talk to me about the sort of rebuild process for your son over the past 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah, it's taken a while because he got wrongly diagnosed for celiac, and he tested negative for celiac, and that was a wrong test. So that led us astray. But he sorted his food out. He's gluten-free. He has no wheat, no dairy. Just eats clean food, and that was one of his biggest issues. But now he's fine.
I'd never heard about that incorrect diagnosis. So was he misdiagnosed, and as a result of this, was eating foods that were completely wrong for him?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we lost all the time, because he was constantly poisoning himself. It's when you've got allergies, people who understand what celiac is knows. So it's no big thing. There's you can get gluten-free bread, you can get everything. It's everywhere. So it's just adapting. But he was told he was fine. So he went and had a procedure, a camera down his throat, and he said he was fine. But obviously he wasn't. So that took a lot of time up, and then he got a fistula, which is something in your backside, like an abscess. That put him out for another 8 months. So you can see where the 3 years has gone. And then he had, and then on top of that, he had one of these problems where he had a lot of bile coming up, and that was a hiatus hernia, and we didn't know that. So that was done by a punch when he was younger. So it raised his intestines about 1 millimeter, and that caused the bile to come back up when he was sleeping. Then it started dripping into the lungs, causing chest infections. So when you add all these together, he's been quite an unlucky kid, but we've got to the bottom of them. Like I say, talking about them, they don't sound major. But when you got wrong diagnoses and you don't know what the problem is, then it's a big thing. Because every time he trained, he fell off a bus. So this was the problem. But now, rectified all these one by one, and he's back, he's healthy, he's fit.
You talk there, and I had no idea the scale of the issues, but now, as you say, he's got a correct diagnosis first of all, and he's got the diet he needs to have, he's had the procedures he needs. Do you think you see a new lease of life in him? Because there's that saying, like, you don't know what you've got until it's gone, and I'm sure there was times when he was thinking, is my career done here? Do you see a different Hughie Fury, a more motivated Hughie Fury, when now he knows, I can get some momentum and have a real crack at this?
I think he set it all up there, now for the easy part. He's gone through hell and back, where he couldn't address the problems, always training, always being fatigued. It was like one thing after another. So basically he'd come into training camps, do 4 or 5 weeks, and then he'd fall over with chest infections, fatigue, and all this. Blisters in his hairline, which was all down to the celiac, eating dairy and stuff. So he's had a rough ride of it, but he's so glad to be back healthy.
In there against a very tough Ukrainian in Dmytro Fenko, a man very well known to your gym. Now you set up there, we got him because he's durable and he'll come and have a fight. So obviously you had no interest in a knockover job for Hughie's first fight back. No,
I don't want knockover jobs. He's 29 years of age. He's fought for world titles. He's an amateur world champion. We don't need bum city. So this guy, he's tough, he's durable, and he comes throwing punches. So you've got to be on your A game with him. So he's a good test and a good comeback fight for Hughie.
Hughie comes through unscathed and healthy. I didn't realise you were penciled in for the Lauren Price show and also a run out in July. Is that going to be like a gradual step up of opponents? What can we expect in terms of future fights for Hughie over the next 3 months?
I think the thing is for Hughie now is to give him rounds. That's why we've got this guy. He'll get a good 6 rounds. He's never been stopped, so we're not expecting very any stoppage. So he's very durable. So it's going to be get a good 6 rounds out of him again. Hopefully we can get an 8-rounder, maybe 10 on May. It'll probably be an 8 actually, and then he's ready. He can do 10 rounds anyway. It doesn't matter, but it's whatever we can get. So we'll get something similar, a decent opponent, and we'll just keep ticking over and back, putting the rounds in the bank.
Let's talk about what people want to hear, potential big fights for Hughie. We saw that incredible British title clash between Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark a few weeks ago. First of all, what did you make of the fight? And secondly, would either of those be an opponent you consider for Hughie towards the back end of the year?
I thought it was a brilliant fight. They both showed terrific art. You had the boxer versus the fighter. I can't speak highly enough about it. It was very good. Yeah, let's get Hughie back. And if these fights are available, whatever's available. But for now, one fight at a time.
I want to talk a bit about Savannah Marshall. It was obviously announced she's going to fight in the PFL in the MMA world. Where does that leave your involvement with Savannah?
Yeah, Savannah trains with me still. She comes once a week doing the punching and stuff. So we'll all be there. Andy Aspinall's a good friend of mine. He's part of our team anyway. He's
involved with Tom.
Yes, that's Tom's dad.
Oh, right.
So
he's in good hands.
Yeah, very good hands. Listen, it's everybody to his job, and what Andy doesn't know about the MMA isn't worth knowing. So Savannah's in great hands, and it's all the same team anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. And the thing is, after June, she'll go back to boxing.
Just sticking with the world of MMA, we saw Francis Ngannou fall short against Anthony Joshua. Were you surprised by the manner of that fight?
Not really. Ngannou is you can't fast track in this game. You've got a big tough guy there who's strong, can punch, would rip your head off. But that's not boxing. And then the good thing is styles make fights. He was built for Joshua, really, because he can't get out the way of anything. So it was going to be a foregone conclusion. He done it very quick, and he done it in spectacular style.
What do you make of the sort of 180 people have done on Anthony Joshua's career? I mean, it's not that long ago people were questioning whether he should retire, and now there's people reckon he could become undisputed. Is that just sort of testament to the fickle nature of boxing, or do you think it's like a slight overreaction to the Ngannou fight?
Yeah, listen, you're as good as your last fight, and people love to see the heavyweights get knocked out. So I think, he's had a couple of comeback fights. He's been impressive in them, but it's all about the opposition. So he's improving. He's getting there. He'll work on his mistakes, and I'm sure he'll do well. He's right up there with all of them.
I've just got the tap on the shoulder. So one last thing I want to get your thoughts on, Peter, is we've got this Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney fight coming up this weekend, and a lot of people are concerned about Ryan going into the fight. If you were involved in Ryan Garcia, given some of the behaviour we've seen, and I know we don't have access to behind the scenes, what would you be advising him? Would you be letting him fight a fighter of the calibre of Devin Haney this weekend?
Look, it could all be a gimmick. He could be doing it all for the cameras and getting into Devin Haney's head. So he's probably training like a Trojan in the background and, telling the people what they want to hear, So if that's the move, it's a clever move. It doesn't seem to be that way. He seems to be a little bit loose somewhere. And but look, I like Ryan Garcia. I think he's a terrific talent. If he properly dedicated, and he had more structure there. So that's what I see. I think unless it's the first option, then I think it's the wrong fight for him at this stage of his career.
You talked about how good Ryan could be if he dedicated himself. How much, say it's like a percentage, what percentage as a trainer would you say is talent and what percentage is dedication in terms of how successful a fighter can go on to be and fulfilling their potential?
I think one's as important as the other. You can have all the talent in the world and not have the dedication and the discipline, and you've got nothing. So one is just as important as the other. You need both. To be a solid world champion, you've got to have that dedication. World level fighters train very, very hard. And that's just the way it is.
Peter, thanks very much for speaking today. I will let you go. Enjoy the rest of the fight week. We'll see you on Saturday night.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate your time, sir. You too.